Let me tell you right off the bat, if you think living in a so-called perfect suburb is some kind of fairy tale, you haven't seen what goes on behind those spotless lawns and those identical mailboxes lined up like soldiers. Trust me, Maple Creek Estates isn't a storybook, and if you want proof, pull up a chair because what happened to me? It started with a smart fridge and ended with the ugliest public downfall this neighborhood's ever seen. You think you know where this is going? Right, entitled kid, some weird HOA beef, maybe a dumb call to 911? Yeah, you don't know the half of it. See, I moved into my grandmother's old house after she passed, a place that always looked so peaceful, a big colonial with a porch that wrapped around like a hug tucked into a neighborhood where every blade of grass stood at attention. My grandma. She was one of the originals. Broke all kinds of barriers just by signing that deed in the 70s, and by the time I moved in, the neighbors seemed polite enough. Waves little comments about what a wonderful woman she was. It looked nice from the outside. But, that silence you get when people are more curious than welcoming. Like they're taking notes on you, not just being neighborly. That's Maple Creek for you. I could feel them watching, like they were all trying to figure out how I fit in. Directly next door were the Sterling's matriarch, Beatrice, always in pastels and tennis skirts, judging everything with that mild scowl, and her son Braden, who at 19 was a slab of blonde entitlement stomping around like he owned the block. Their first words to me mostly grunts and dirty looks if my music even dared creep past my fence. The real mess, though, didn't start with loud music or trash cans left out on the wrong day. It started with my groceries. Yeah, my groceries. Expensive stuff. Special diet imported salmon. It was like someone was raiding my fridge and pantry, and all signs pointed to that kid next door. No proof, just a gut feeling, call it neighborhood instinct. So what do? I'm an AI guy. Used to fixing problems with code and data, not locks and keys. But I wasn't about to put a deadbolt on my fridge like some sitcom landlord, so instead, I rigged up a smart lock facial recognition tablet screen slick as anything. You want in? You need my face. Otherwise, access denied. Felt like a tech flex, but really, I just wanted my groceries to stay put. That should have been the end of it. But in a place like Maple Creek, that was just lighting the fuse. The next day, while I'm on a call about algorithmic bias, because that's what I do, I hear this insane banging from downstairs. I think break-in heart pounding. But it's Braden red-faced fists pounding my fridge, screaming at the thing to open up. Didn't even see me at first. When he did, he whirled around, and you'd think I was the intruder, not him. The entitlement man, you had to see it to believe it. He's yelling that I'm starving him, that his mom buys special food for his workouts. Never mind that he's standing in my kitchen, hands all over my stuff. That's when he pulls out his phone thumb, hovering face all smug, calls 911, and starts performing like he's on reality TV. Help, I'm trapped. He's threatening me. There's some weird device. He even threw in that my fridge was poisoning the food supply, and I kid you not, rattled off some HOA fine number like it was gospel, all lies. He's not trapped. I never threatened him. The only thing I did was ask why he was in my house. So the cops roll up. Officer Croft, old tired, done with everything, comes in with his younger partner. Croft looks at me, at Braden, then straight at me again. His mind's already made up, scared local kid, new face in the neighborhood, must be my fault. Braden spins his story, I tell the truth. Croft doesn't care. This is the Sterling boy, he says. You're new. We do things different here. The message is loud and clear. People like me aren't supposed to cause trouble. Croft warns me to take the lock off my fridge, calls it a disturbance, and tells Braden to stay out of my house. No arrests, no real justice, just a warning to be a better neighbor. I just stood there staring at the walls of my own kitchen, realizing that to these people I'd always be the outsider. You ever get that sinking feeling like things are only going to get worse? That's what I felt after the cops left. Sure enough, the next attack was sneakier. Beatrice herself shows up at my door with a plate of lemon loaf and that smile, one of those that's so sweet it rots your teeth. She apologizes for her son, blames it on boys being boys, then slides in the real threat. The HOA has rules about unapproved modifications, Julian. It wasn't a warning. It was her letting me know that the HOA machine was about to come for me. And boy, did it ever. 2 days later, I get an official letter, all legalese and intimidation, saying I'm in violation for having a potentially hazardous electronic modification on a kitchen appliance visible from a window. They want me to remove it or face a $100,000 fine. You heard that right, $100,000 for a fridge lock. The signature at the bottom, Beatrice Sterling, chair of the architectural committee. I just laughed because what else can you do? It was a joke, except it could ruin my life. So I lawyer up. Found Zara Das a firecracker of an attorney who actually listens. She reads the HOA letter and just grins. This is overreach. They got greedy. That's how you beat them. We plan our counterattack challenge. The vagueness of their rules demand board recusal for Beatrice file for all HOA records, and crucially start building a pattern of discrimination. Turns out I'm not the first target. Kenji Tanaka, a Japanese-American neighbor, was driven out years ago after his award-winning rose garden and greenhouse got flagged for aesthetic violations. His story, same playbook, endless fines, vandalism rumors, and finally a forced move. Armed with Tanaka's testimony photos and my lawyer's filings, I'm ready. But Beatrice doesn't fight fair. She starts a whisper campaign. Neighbors cross the street to avoid me. Rumors spread about me running an illegal business, about how I threatened poor Braden. Packages go missing. Someone starts blasting music at my house. Rocks get thrown at my siding. And the cops, they shrug. Could be anyone. I feel like I'm under siege. My grandmother's house, my sanctuary, is now a war zone. One night, desperate, I remember my fridge's logs buried deep in its system, our tiny timestamp photos and audio from failed access attempts, a debugging feature I'd forgotten. There's Braden, plain as day, breaking in. There's his voice screaming at the fridge. And here's the kicker audio of Beatrice coaching him during the 911 call. Say he threatened you. Braden used the word aggressive, mentioned the HOA. Proof in her own voice that it was a setup. Zara almost cheers. Julian, this is it. You've got them. She tells me to hold on to it for the HOA hearing. Don't tip our hand. In the meantime, a journalist starts digging Sarah Jenkins, an investigative reporter. She's got other stories, more victims, and she's about to make this a national headline. The night of the hearing, I walk into the clubhouse carrying everything, photos, audio, my story. Beatrice gets up and performs Dripping with Concern, crying for the harmony of Maple Creek. She shows blurry photos, calls me a menace. Then it's my turn. I lay out the theft, the harassment, the fake 911 call. I play the audio. The room goes ice cold. Phones start buzzing as Sarah's article hits the internet. Neighbors stare at Beatrice, at Braden, at each other, realizing the real threat was inside the board all along. Within days, the HOA implodes. Beatrice and her cronies resign in disgrace. The fine's gone. A public apology comes my way, and to the Tanakas, and the board hires outsiders to rewrite the covenants, this time with real oversight. The Sterlings, they're shunned. Within a month, their house is up for sale, their reign of terror over. You'd think that's where the story ends, right? Neat little bow, good guy wins. But it doesn't, not in places like this. The Sterlings try to get my evidence thrown out in court, claim it's an illegal recording. But the judge rules in my favor. Why? Because they were yelling so loud my fridge picked them up through an open window. They trapped themselves with their own arrogance. So yeah, I'm still here working in my grandmother's sunlit study. My fridge lock still humming away, a little beacon of stubbornness and hope. Justice isn't always clean or quick. Sometimes it's a digital ghost waiting for the right moment to set things right. Now tell me, where do you stand? Is it right for a neighborhood to weaponize its own rules? What would you have done in my shoes? Drop your thoughts below. Justice, community, or control? Whose side are you on?